The fist connects with bone before the rain even registers. Elian Cross hits the pavement hard, his pregnant belly slamming against wet concrete as his vision explodes into white static. The newborn in his arms screams louder now, tiny lungs fighting for air through the downpour. Blood mixes with rainwater swirling pink between cracked sidewalk lines. His ribs scream, his jaw throbs, but his arms tighten around the baby anyway. "You goddamn whore." Rourke Hale's voice cuts through the crowd like broken glass. 30 faces watch from under awnings and umbrellas, frozen. No one moves, no one speaks. The Alpha's scent floods the street, rage mixed with something sour, something rotten. "Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is." Elian tries to curl inward, tries to protect the 8-month swell of his own child and the newborn pressed against his chest. His shirt is soaked through. The baby's crying shifts to choking gasps. Elian's instincts override everything else. He shifts the infant higher, adjusts the latch even as Rourke's shadow falls over them both. "You feed another Alpha's pup while carrying mine." The accusation echoes off brick buildings. Someone's phone buzzes. A car alarm chirps in the distance, but the circle of witnesses stays silent. Elian's mouth fills with copper. He spits blood onto the pavement and finally finds his voice. "The baby was dying. I found him behind the clinic." The second punch cuts him off. This one catches his temple. His ears ring so loud the world goes muffled. The baby slips in his grip. Elian scrambles to hold on, his fingers slick with rain and blood. His vision doubles. The crowd blurs into shapes without faces. Someone gasps, someone else turns away. Rourke grabs a fistful of Elian's hair and yanks his head back. "You think I'm stupid. You think I don't smell him on you." "Please," Elian's voice cracks. "The baby's not." The third strike lands on his ribs. Something cracks. Elian's legs give out. He collapses fully now, his body folding around the newborn like a shield. His pregnant belly presses into the curb. Pain radiates from his spine to his fingertips. The baby's cries fade to weak whimpers. Elian's own heartbeat thunders in his skull. Rourke steps back, chest heaving. His knuckles are split. His dress shirt clings to his shoulders. He looks around at the crowd, daring someone to speak. No one does. "Let that be a lesson," Rourke says. His voice drops to something cold, something final. Omegas who shame their alphas don't get second chances. He turns and walks away. The rain falls harder. Elian doesn't move. His breathing turns shallow. The baby in his arms shivers. Tiny fingers curl against Elian's chest. The newborn's heartbeat flutters like a trapped bird. Then Elian's vision starts to narrow. The edges of the world turn grey. His grip on the baby loosens. His head lolls to the side. Someone screams. Footsteps splash through puddles. Hands grab at him, but they feel distant, dreamlike. The last thing Elian sees before everything goes black is a pair of polished leather shoes stepping into view across the street. Someone was watching. Someone always is. Was Elian wrong to feed the baby, or was mercy the only choice that mattered? The hospital smells like bleach and stale coffee. Elian's body lies motionless on the gurney as nurses rush him through double doors. His vitals flash on monitors, heart rate dropping, blood pressure crashing. The baby he protected is pried from his arms by a paramedic who wraps the infant in thermal blankets. Elian's fingers twitch once, reaching for nothing, then fall limp. "Coma," someone says. The word hangs in the air like a death sentence. Outside, the crowd finally disperses. Phones light up, messages fly. Within an hour, the video spreads across Southside Chicago, shaky footage of a pregnant Omega beaten in broad daylight. The comments section explodes. Half call Elian a homewrecker, half call Rourke a monster. No one knows the full story. But in this city, the story doesn't matter as much as the rules. Alpha ownership culture runs deep here. It's woven into pack laws older than the buildings themselves. An alpha's claim over an omega isn't just emotional, it's territorial, legal, sacred. And when an omega crosses that line, the punishment is swift. Feeding another alpha's pup falls into a grey zone most omegas never risk entering. It's not illegal, but it's read as betrayal. The act signals availability. It suggests the omega's bond is weak, that their loyalty can shift. Elian knew the rules. Every omega knows the rules. But instinct doesn't ask permission before it takes over. When Elian found that newborn behind the clinic dumpster 3 hours earlier, the baby's skin was blue-grey, lips cracked, body limp, the umbilical cord still attached, tied off with a shoelace. No blanket, no note, just a gasping, dying child left in a pile of medical waste. Elian's body reacted before his mind could catch up. His chest ached, his milk let down, his arms moved on their own. He fed the baby because the alternative was watching him die. And now Elian might die instead. The nurses wheel him into the ICU, machines hum to life, IV lines snake into his arms, his pregnant belly rises and falls with mechanical breaths. A doctor checks the fetal monitor and frowns. The baby inside Elian is stressed, heartbeat erratic. The trauma is affecting them both. One nurse lingers by the door, staring at the newborn now sleeping in the bassinet nearby. She's seen a lot in her career. Overdoses, stabbings, domestic cases that make her stomach turn, but this one feels different. "Who leaves a baby in a dumpster?" she whispers. Her colleague doesn't answer. The question isn't really meant to be solved. Across town, Hale sits in his apartment, hand wrapped in gauze. His knuckles throb. His phone keeps buzzing. Messages from PAC members, from old friends, from people who saw the video. Half of them congratulate him for defending his honor. Half of them call him reckless. He ignores them all. His reflection stares back at him from the darkened TV screen. His jaw is tight. His eyes are red-rimmed. He tells himself he did what any alpha would do. He tells himself Elian deserved it. But somewhere under the rage, a knot of doubt tightens in his chest. He shakes it off. The hospital doors close behind another visitor, someone the staff doesn't recognize, someone who moves with the kind of confidence that makes security guards step aside without asking questions. He doesn't sign in, doesn't announce himself, just walks straight to the ICU and stops outside Elian's room. Through the window, he watches the Omega's chest rise and fall. Then his gaze shifts to the bassinet. The baby's identity is still unknown. But not for long. What if the truth about the baby changes everything, and it's already too late? Cassian Vale doesn't sleep anymore. He stands in his penthouse office overlooking the Chicago skyline, phone pressed to his ear, listening to the fifth useless report in 2 hours. His men have torn apart 3 city blocks, checked every hospital, questioned every contact. The baby is still missing. 48 hours since the ambush. 48 hours since his enemies made their move. Cassian's jaw tightens, his free hand curls into a fist. The city below glitters like broken glass, indifferent to the war being fought in its shadows. He built an empire here, runs half the Midwest through calculated violence and ironclad loyalty, but none of that matters if he can't find his son. "Sir," his second-in-command Malik steps into the room. His expression is carefully neutral. "We got something." Cassian's head snaps toward him. "Where?" Southside, a pregnant Omega collapsed after being assaulted. Paramedics found a newborn in his arms. Malik hesitates. The infant matches Rowan's description. The name hits like a bullet. Cassian's son, his heir, the child his enemies tried to erase. "Show me." Malik pulls up surveillance footage on the wall monitor. The video is grainy, shot from a corner store security camera. Rain distorts the image, but the scene is clear enough. A pregnant Omega on his knees, an alpha standing over him, fists raised, a crowd watching, and in the Omega's arms, a tiny bundle barely moving. Cassian's vision sharpens. He leans forward, freezes the frame. The baby's face is visible for only 2 seconds, but 2 seconds is enough. "That's him," Cassian says. His voice is flat, cold. "That's Rowan." Malik nods. The Omega's in a coma, St. Catherine's Hospital, ICU. The baby's in protective custody there too. Cassian's mind is already moving. 2 narratives collide in his head, snapping into place like puzzle pieces. His son was taken during a rival ambush. The Omega found him, fed him, protected him, and nearly died for it. Who's the alpha that attacked him? Hale, small-time PAC leader, no major affiliations. The Omega's his ex-husband. Cassian's expression doesn't change, but something dangerous flickers in his eyes. Ex-husband. Divorce finalized 6 months ago. The Omega's been living alone since. That detail matters. It shifts the entire context. The Omega wasn't cheating, wasn't betraying a bond. He was free, and he still chose to save a stranger's child. Cassian straightens. His mind runs through scenarios, calculating risk and reward. Mercy isn't his default setting. Compassion is a luxury in his world, but this Omega did what most people wouldn't. He saved Cassian's son when no one else could. "Get the car," Cassian says. Malik blinks. "You're going yourself." "I need to see him." So the Omega's unconscious, he can't. I didn't ask for a debate. Malik knows better than to push further. He nods and leaves. Cassian stares at the frozen image on the screen. The Omega's face is barely visible under the blood and rain, but his arms are still wrapped around Rowan, still protecting him even as the world collapsed around them. 2 possibilities eliminated. The baby wasn't abandoned by neglect, and the Omega who saved him wasn't a threat. Cassian grabs his coat and heads for the elevator. His men fall into step behind him. The convoy forms in the underground garage, 3 black SUVs, bulletproof, engines purring like caged predators. The drive to St. Catherine's takes 12 minutes. Cassian walks through the hospital like he owns it. Security doesn't stop him. Nurses step aside. The ICU coordinator tries to explain visiting hours, but one look from Malik shuts that down. Cassian stops outside Elian's room. Through the window, he sees the Omega for the first time in person. Pale, bruised, hooked up to machines that breathe for him. His pregnant belly rises and falls under a thin blanket. His hands rest at his sides, fingers curled inward like he's still trying to hold something. Cassian steps inside. The room is silent except for the rhythmic beep of monitors. He moves to the foot of the bed and studies the Omega's face. There's something fragile about him, something that shouldn't have survived what happened on that street. But he did. Then Cassian's gaze shifts to the bassinet in the corner. Rowan sleeps peacefully now, wrapped in hospital-issued blankets. His tiny chest moves with steady breaths. His face is clean, fed, safe. Because of the Omega. Cassian steps closer to the bassinet. His hand hovers over his son's head for a moment before he finally touches him. Rowan stirs but doesn't wake. His small hand wraps around Cassian's finger. That's when the scent hits. Faint, nearly lost under the antiseptic hospital smell, but unmistakable. Cassian's entire body goes still. He turns slowly toward the Omega in the bed. His instincts flare. His chest tightens. The bond he spent years ignoring snaps into place like a lock finding its key. The Omega isn't just anyone. He's Cassian's true mate. The surveillance footage cuts to a familiar street corner. Cassian recognizes the Omega's scent on the baby before he even sees his face. What happens when the Alpha King realizes the Omega who saved his son is the one person he was never supposed to find? The hospital room feels smaller now. Cassian stands frozen at the foot of Elian's bed, every instinct in his body screaming at him to move closer, to touch, to claim. The bond hums under his skin like a live wire, electric and undeniable. His hands curl into fists, his jaw locks. This isn't supposed to happen. True mates are myths in his world, stories told to children, romantic nonsense that has no place in the kind of life he leads. Cassian built his empire on control, on calculated moves and emotionless decisions. He doesn't believe in fate. But the scent doesn't lie. Sweet, warm, underneath the blood and antiseptic, it's there. Faint but unmistakable. The kind of scent that rewires a brain, that makes an alpha's instincts override logic. Cassian forces himself to breathe, to think. He looks at the Omega, bruised, broken, unconscious, and something cold and sharp twists in his chest. This Omega saved his son, risked everything, and now he's barely clinging to life because of it. Malik appears in the doorway. "Sir, the doctors want to speak with you." Cassian doesn't move. His gaze stays locked on Elian's face. What do they want? It's about the Omega's condition and the pregnancy. That pulls Cassian's attention. He turns and follows Malik into the hallway where a doctor waits, clipboard in hand. The woman's expression is carefully neutral, but her eyes betray exhaustion. "Mr. Vale," she starts, then pauses. "I assume you're here about the infant." "I'm here about both of them." The doctor blinks, adjusts her glasses. The Omega, Elian Cross, sustained severe trauma. Fractured ribs, internal bleeding, head trauma. We've stabilized him, but he's in a medically induced coma. We don't know when or if he'll wake up. Cassian's expression doesn't change, and the baby he's carrying. Under extreme stress, the fetus is showing signs of distress from the trauma. If the Omega's condition worsens, we may have to make a difficult decision about delivery. How far along is he? 8 months, far enough for survival, but it's still high risk given the circumstances. Cassian's mind runs through scenarios, variables, outcomes. He built his reputation on making hard calls, on choosing the path that ensures survival, even when it's brutal. but this time the calculation feels different. Do whatever it takes to keep them both alive, Cassian says. The doctor nods slowly. We'll do our best. No, Cassian's voice drops. You'll do more than that. I'll have my own medical team here within the hour. You'll have every resource you need. Understood? The doctor's eyes widen slightly, but she nods. Understood. Cassian returns to the room. Malik follows but stays by the door, phone already out, making calls. Within 30 minutes, a private medical team arrives. Within an hour, Elian's room is transformed into something that looks more like a high-end recovery suite than a hospital ICU. Cassian pulls a chair next to the bed and sits. He doesn't leave. Hours pass, night falls. The city outside the window glows with neon and headlights. Cassian watches the monitors, watches Elian's chest rise and fall, watches Rowan sleep peacefully in the bassinet nearby. The Omega's hands twitch once. His eyelids flutter but don't open. His scent shifts, stress bleeding through the sweetness. Cassian leans forward. You're safe, he says quietly. Your baby's safe, Rowan's safe. No response, just the steady beep of machines. Malik appears again. So we have confirmation. The baby's DNA matches yours. He's definitely Rowan. Cassian already knew, but hearing it confirmed settles something in his chest. And the Omega's ex-husband. Rourke Hale, we've located him. He's still in his apartment, doesn't know we're watching. Good, Cassian's voice turns to ice. Keep it that way. What do you want us to do? Cassian stands, moves to the window, looks out at the city he controls. Nothing yet, let him think he got away with it, let him feel safe. Malik's expression darkens with understanding, and then we take everything. Cassian turns back to the bed, to the Omega who unknowingly saved his son, who unknowingly became his mate, who unknowingly set in motion a chain of events that will rewrite the city's power structure. The bond pulses again, stronger this time. Cassian's instincts scream at him to mark the Omega, to claim him before anyone else can, but the Omega can't consent, can't respond, and Cassian doesn't operate that way. So he waits. The machines beep, the city hums, Rowan sleeps. And in the silence, the doctors exchange worried glances. Elian's vitals spike, his body convulses once, alarms blare, nurses rush in. What's happening? Cassian demands. His body's rejecting the trauma response, one nurse says. We are losing him. The room erupts into controlled chaos. Cassian is pushed back. Malik pulls him toward the door, but Cassian's eyes stay locked on Elian's face. The Omega's lips move. No sound comes out, but the shape is clear. He's asking about the baby. Even unconscious, even dying, he's still trying to protect the child that wasn't his. Cassian's chest tightens, his hands shake. For the first time in years, he feels something close to fear. The doctors stabilize Elian after 3 agonizing minutes. His vitals return to baseline. His breathing evens out, but the unspoken truth hangs in the air. He almost died. Again. Cassian steps back into the room once the medical team clears out. He walks to the bassinet, picks up Rowan, holds his son against his chest. The baby stirs, tiny hand gripping Cassian's shirt. Your Omega saved you, Cassian whispers, and I'm going to make sure no one ever hurts him again. Malik watches from the doorway. What's the play? Cassian's expression hardens. We dismantle Rourke Hale piece by piece, and then we make sure the Omega wakes up to a world where he never has to be afraid again. The bond flares again, one-sided, aching. Waiting. If the Omega doesn't wake up, can the bond that was never claimed still rewrite both their fates? 3 days pass. Elian doesn't wake. Cassian doesn't leave. He runs his empire from the hospital room, phone calls, encrypted messages, meetings conducted in hushed tones while Elian's body fights for survival. His men bring reports, his enemies send threats. The city continues to turn, but Cassian's focus never shifts far from the Omega in the bed. The bond grows stronger with each passing hour. It's irrational. Cassian knows this. He's never met the Omega, never spoken to him, but the connection tightens like a fist around his chest, demanding recognition. On the 4th morning, the doctors deliver cautiously optimistic news. Elian's vitals are stabilizing, his body is healing, the baby inside him is holding steady, but consciousness remains elusive. Cassian sits in the chair next to the bed, Rowan asleep in his arms. The baby has refused to settle with anyone else. Even Cassian's most trusted staff can't soothe him the way proximity to his father does. Or maybe it's proximity to the Omega's scent that calms him. Cassian suspects the latter. "Talk to me about true mates," Cassian says. Malik, standing by the window, doesn't react with surprise. He's known Cassian too long for that. "What do you want to know?" "How they work, how the bond forms." It's rare, most alphas never encounter theirs. The bond is instinctual. Both parties recognize it when they meet, but it has to be mutual. And if one party is unconscious, Malik's silence is answer enough. Cassian looks at Elian, at the fadding bruises on his face, at the way his hands curl protectively even in sleep. The bond is there, screaming at Cassian to act, but it's one-sided, incomplete, a promise without acknowledgement. If he wakes up and doesn't feel it, Cassian starts. "Then it's not meant to be," Malik finishes. Cassian's jaw tightens. He's never been denied something he wanted, but this isn't about want. This is deeper, more fundamental, and for the first time in his life, he has no control over the outcome. Rowan shifts in his arms, yawns, his tiny eyes blink open, unfocused but content. Cassian runs a finger along his son's cheek. The baby's scent is still tinged with the omegas, milk and sweetness and something protective. "He wouldn't let go," Cassian murmurs. "Even when it was killing him, he wouldn't let go of you." A nurse enters to check vitals. She glances at Cassian holding the baby and smiles softly. "He's lucky to have you both." Cassian doesn't respond. Luck isn't the word he'd use. Fate, maybe, or cosmic irony. The nurse adjusts Elian's IV, checks the fetal monitor, then pauses. Her expression shifts. "Mr. Vale, his brain activity is increasing. He might be waking soon." Cassian's entire body goes rigid. How soon? Could be hours, could be days, but it's a good sign. She leaves. The room falls silent again, except for the rhythmic beep of monitors. Cassian stands, places Rowan carefully in the bassinet, walks to the window. Chicago spreads out below him, his city, his empire, his battlefield. He's made harder choices than this, killed for less, built kingdoms on the bones of his enemies. But this Omega, unconscious and fragile, holds more power over him than any rival ever has. The bond pulses, insistent, demanding. "If you wake up," Cassian says quietly, "and you don't feel this, I'll let you go." The words taste like ash, but he means them, because forced bonds are prisons, not partnerships, and Cassian has spent his life breaking chains, not creating them. His phone buzzes, a message from his financial team. Hale's accounts have been frozen, his pack contracts dissolved, his reputation shredded across every network. The first phase is complete. Cassian types a response, then another. The machinery of retribution moves forward, silent and merciless. Behind him, Elian's breathing changes. Cassian turns, watches the Omega's chest rise and fall just slightly faster than before. His eyelids flutter, his fingers twitch, the scent in the room shifts, fear bleeding through the sweetness. "Easy," Cassian says, moving closer. "You're safe." Elian's eyes move behind closed lids. Rapid, panicked, he's dreaming or remembering. Cassian sits on the edge of the bed, careful not to jostle him. "No one's going to hurt you. Your baby's alive. The newborn is safe." The words seem to reach him. Elian's breathing slows, his hands unclench, but he doesn't wake. Cassian stays there, close enough to touch but holding back. The bond screams at him to claim, to mark, to seal the connection before it can slip away, but he waits. Malik clears his throat from across the room. Sir Rourke's making moves. He knows something's happening. He's trying to reach out to old contacts. "Let him," Cassian says without looking away from Elian. "Let him scramble. By the time we're done, he'll have nowhere left to run." "When do you want to confront him?" "Soon, but not yet." Cassian's gaze drops to Elian's belly, to the life growing inside. The Omega needs to be stable first. He deserves to see justice happen. And if he doesn't wake up in time? Cassian's expression hardens. Then Rourke learns what happens when you touch something that belongs to me. The bond flares at those words, possessive, absolute. Elian's heart monitor spikes, just for a second, then settles. Cassian freezes. Did the Omega hear him? Can unconscious minds sense bonds? He leans closer. "I don't know if you can hear me," he says quietly, "but you're not alone anymore. Whatever happens, you and your child are under my protection now." No response, just the steady beep of machines. But somewhere deep in Elian's subconscious, something shifts. a recognition too faint to name, a pull too distant to understand. The bond isn't complete yet. But it's waiting. Cassian stands, walks back to the window, pulls out his phone, types a message to his legal team, then his security team, then his publicist. The pieces are moving into place. Hale thinks he got away with it, thinks public opinion and pack law will protect him, thinks the Omega he beat into a coma was just another casualty in a city that forgets too quickly. He's wrong. Because the Omega in that hospital bed isn't just a victim. He's Cassian Vale's true mate, the father of his heir by instinct if not by blood, and the catalyst for a reckoning that will reshape the city's power structure. Malik steps beside him. What's the play after Rourke? Rebuild, Cassian says. Make sure the Omega has everything he needs to heal. Make sure his child is born safe. Make sure no one ever questions who they belong to. And if he rejects the bond? Cassian's reflection stares back at him from the window. His jaw is tight, his eyes are cold, but underneath, something vulnerable flickers. Then I'll spend the rest of my life proving I deserve it anyway. The heart monitor beeps faster. Cassian turns just in time to see Elian's eyes flutter open for the first time in 5 days. Confusion, fear, pain. And then his gaze lands on the bassinet across the room. His lips move, the baby. The Omega wakes, but will the first words he speaks shatter everything or seal a bond neither of them saw coming? The wire transfer goes through at exactly 3:47 a.m. Hale's primary business account, the one tied to his pack operations, his property investments, his entire financial infrastructure, drops to zero in under 90 seconds. He doesn't know yet, won't know until morning when he tries to pay for coffee and his card declines, when he checks his phone and sees the balance that shouldn't exist. Cassian watches the confirmation code flash across his laptop screen from Elian's hospital room. He doesn't smile, doesn't celebrate, just closes the window and moves to the next target. By dawn, Rourke's secondary accounts are frozen pending investigation. His business licenses are flagged for review. His pack contracts, the legal documents that bind members to his leadership, are voided due to a clause about moral conduct that no one ever enforces, until now. Cassian's legal team works through the night. They're efficient, ruthless. They don't ask questions about why the Mafia Alpha King suddenly cares about a small-time pack leader from Southside. They just execute. Malik enters the room with coffee. Phase 2 is ready. Cassian glances at Elian, still sleeping after his brief moment of consciousness 12 hours ago. The Omega had asked about the baby, saw Rowan safe in the bassinet, then slipped back under before Cassian could answer. The doctors said it was normal, the body protecting itself, healing in stages. Do it, Cassian says. Within the hour. Every contact Rourke has ever relied on receives the same message. Anonymous, untraceable, but clear. Hale is no longer under pack protection. Any association with him will be considered a hostile act. No threats, no explanations, just a line drawn in the sand. By noon, Rourke's phone goes silent. The colleagues who used to answer his calls let them ring through to voicemail. The business partners who owed him favors suddenly have scheduling conflicts. The pack members who swore loyalty 6 months ago find reasons to be unavailable. Isolation is its own kind of violence. Cassian learned that young. Take away a man's network and you take away his power. Take away his power and you take away his identity. What's left is just fear. Rourke feels it by evening. He sits in his apartment, phone clutched in one hand, scrolling through contacts that won't respond. His jaw tightens, his chest constricts. Something is wrong, something is happening, but he doesn't know what. Not yet. Cassian stands at the window of Elian's room, watching the city lights flicker on as dusk settles. Behind him, the Omega's breathing is steady. Rowan sleeps in the bassinet. The monitors beep their rhythmic confirmation that both are stable. Sir, Malik says quietly. Rourke's trying to reach out to the Westside crew, offering information, trying to buy protection. Let him try. They won't take the deal, not after your message. I know. Malik hesitates. He's going to figure out it's you eventually. Good, Cassian turns from the window. I want him to know. I want him to understand exactly why his world is ending. When do you want to move on phase 3? Tomorrow, let him spend tonight wondering. Let him feel what Elian felt when he thought no one was coming. The door opens, a nurse enters to check vitals. She glances at Cassian, then at the sleeping Omega. He's doing well, brain activity is strong. He should wake fully within the next day or two. Cassian nods, the nurse leaves. Malik shifts his weight. What happens when he wakes up, when he learns what you've done? He deserves to know his ex-husband is facing consequences. That's not what I'm asking. Cassian's expression hardens, then ask what you mean. What happens when he learns you're his mate, that this isn't just about justice? The bond pulses at those words. Cassian feels it in his chest, in his bones. It's grown stronger over the past days. Every hour spent near Elian deepens the connection, but it's still one-sided, still waiting for acknowledgement. He gets to choose, Cassian says finally, same as anyone. And if he chooses to walk away? Cassian doesn't answer, because the truth is too raw, too vulnerable. If Elian rejects the bond, it won't break Cassian, but it will hollow him out in ways he's not prepared to face. His phone buzzes. Another report. Rourke's credit has been tanked. His reputation is circulating through underground networks with warnings attached. His name is becoming toxic. Cassian reads the update, sends a confirmation, moves to the next phase. By midnight, evidence surfaces. Documents that were buried, testimony that was silenced, proof of things Rourke thought he'd hidden well enough, illegal pack bonding practices, financial fraud, abuse reports from previous partners that were swept under legal loopholes. Cassian's people are thorough. They don't fabricate, they just shine light on what already exists. The evidence is delivered to the proper authorities, anonymously, efficiently. By morning, warrants will be issued. Cassian sits in the chair next to Elian's bed. Rowan is awake now, fussing softly. Cassian picks him up, holds his son against his chest. The baby settles immediately. Your omega is strong, Cassian murmurs, stronger than anyone gave him credit for. Rowan's tiny hand grips Cassian's finger. His eyes are unfocused but calm. Safe, because the omega who wasn't his father chose to protect him anyway. Elian stirs, his breathing changes. His eyelids flutter but don't open. His lips move silently, forming words no one can hear. Cassian leans closer. You're safe, the baby's safe, no one's coming for you. Elian's hand twitches, reaches toward the sound of Cassian's voice. His fingers brush Cassian's arm. The bond explodes. Even unconscious, even half asleep, the connection recognizes itself. Cassian's entire body goes rigid, his breath catches. The pull is undeniable now, physical, overwhelming. Elian's eyes snap open. For 3 seconds they stare at each other. Confusion, recognition, something deeper that neither can name yet. Then Elian's gaze drops to Rowan in Cassian's arms. His expression shifts. Relief, fear, questions. Is he? Elian's voice is hoarse. Broken. Is the baby okay? He's perfect, Cassian says, because of you. Tears stream down Elian's face. He tries to sit up, winces. His hand goes to his ribs, his pregnant belly. Reality crashes back. Rourke, Elian's voice cracks. He knows where I am. He'll come back. He won't. You don't understand. Elian, Cassian's voice cuts through the panic. Calm, absolute. Rourke Hale will never touch you again. Elian's eyes search Cassian's face, looking for lies, for false promises, for the catch that always comes, but all he finds is cold certainty. Who are you? Elian whispers. Cassian's jaw tightens. The truth is complicated, dangerous, but Elian deserves it. My name is Cassian Vale. The baby you saved is my son, and as of tonight, the man who hurt you has lost everything. Elian's breath catches, his eyes widen. Vale, you're the... Yes. The room falls silent. Elian's mind races. The Mafia Alpha King, the man who controls half the Midwest, the most dangerous person in Chicago, and his son, the baby Elian fed behind a clinic, is sleeping peacefully in his arms. I didn't know, Elian whispers. I swear I didn't. I know, that's why you're still breathing. The words are harsh but true. In Cassian's world, ignorance is the only innocence that matters. Elian's hand goes to his belly. My baby is my baby. Stable, healthy, you both are. Relief crashes through Elian so hard his body shakes. He covers his face with his hands. Sobs break through, raw, unfiltered, the kind of crying that comes from surviving something that should have killed you. Cassian doesn't move, doesn't offer comfort, just waits. When Elian finally looks up, his eyes are red but clear. What happens now? Now, Cassian says, you heal. and Rurkhale learns what justice looks like when it's not restrained by mercy. Elian's hands tremble. You're going to kill him. No, I'm going to make him wish I had. What kind of justice breaks a man without ending his life, and will Elian be able to watch it happen? The knock on Rurk's door comes at dawn. He opens it expecting delivery, or maybe a neighbor. Instead, 3 men in dark suits stand in the hallway. Behind them, 2 uniformed officers. No one smiles. Rurkhale, one officer says. Yeah, you're under arrest. The words don't register at first. Rurk blinks, laughs nervously. For what? Financial fraud, illegal pack bond manipulation, assault. We have warrants. The officers move forward. Rurk steps back. His mind scrambles for explanations, for loopholes, for the contacts who should have warned him this was coming, but his phone has been silent for 24 hours. No one warned him, no one came. This is a mistake, Rurk says, his voice rises. I have rights, I have. You have the right to remain silent. The cuffs click around his wrists, cold metal biting skin. Rurk's breathing quickens, his vision tunnels. This isn't happening, can't be happening. He's careful, always careful. He covers his tracks. But the evidence is ironclad. The officers show him documents, bank records, testimony, video footage of things he thought were private. Every mistake he ever made, compiled into a case file thick enough to bury him. Who did this? Rurk demands. Who's behind this? No one answers. They lead him out of his apartment, down the stairs, past neighbors who stare, past a world that's already moving on without him. The squad car door slams shut. At the hospital, Elian watches through the window as physical therapists help him sit upright. His ribs ache, his body feels foreign, but he's awake, alive, and for the first time in years, he's not afraid. Cassian enters the room, no greeting, just presence. He moves to the chair beside the bed and sits. It's done, Cassian says. Rurk was arrested this morning. Elian's hands tighten on the blanket. For what? Everything we could prove. Financial crimes, abuse, manipulation. He's looking at 15 years minimum. 15 years, the number echoes in Elian's head. It should feel like victory, like justice, but all he feels is numb. Why? Elian asks. Why did you do this? Cassian's gaze is steady, unwavering, because he touched what's mine. The words hang in the air, heavy, possessive. Elian's chest tightens. I'm not yours. Not yet. The bond flares between them. Elian feels it now, fully, awake, the pull that's been building since Cassian first walked into the room. It's not just attraction, not just gratitude, it's deeper, biological, terrifying. You're my mate, Cassian says, no question, just fact. Elian's breath catches. That's not possible. It is, you feel it too. Elian wants to deny it, wants to say Cassian is wrong, but the truth sits in his chest like a stone. He does feel it, has felt it since he first woke and saw Cassian holding Rowan, a recognition that bypassed logic and went straight to instinct. I don't want this, Elian whispers. Cassian's expression doesn't change. I know. Then why? Because you deserve to know the truth, and I don't operate on lies. Elian's eyes burn, his hands shake. Everything in his life has been decided by other people. His marriage, his divorce, his survival, and now this, a bond he didn't choose with a man he doesn't know. What if I reject it? Elian asks. Then I'll respect that. And Rurk, the arrest, all of this. That's not about the bond, that's about justice. He hurt you, he nearly killed you, that doesn't get forgiven. Elian looks away, out the window, at the city that's never been kind to him. I don't understand why you care. You saved my son. I didn't know he was yours. That's exactly why it matters. Cassian leans forward. You fed a dying baby because it was the right thing to do, not because you expected a reward, not because you knew who I was. You did it because your instincts told you to protect a child. That's rarer than you think. Elian's throat tightens. He wants to believe Cassian, wants to believe this is real, but trust is a luxury he can't afford. I need time, Elian says. Take all you need. And if I decide I don't want the bond? Cassian stands, moves to the door, pauses. Then I'll spend the rest of my life making sure you and your child are safe anyway, bond or no bond. He leaves. Elian sits in the silence. His hand goes to his belly, to the baby inside who's still fighting, still surviving. Hours later, Rourke sits in an interrogation room. His lawyer, a public defender who looks barely old enough to vote, sits beside him. Across the table, a detective lays out the evidence. We have 12 separate complaints spanning 5 years, financial records showing embezzlement, video evidence of assault, testimony from PAC members. Do you want to explain any of this? Rourke's jaw clenches. This is a setup. By who? I don't know, but someone's targeting me. The detective doesn't react, just slides another folder across the table. What about this? Hospital records for Elian Cross. Detailed injuries consistent with severe assault. Witness statements placing you at the scene. Rourke's hands curl into fists. He betrayed me. He fed another Alpha's pup. That's grounds for. For what? Beating a pregnant Omega into a coma. Silence. The lawyer shifts uncomfortably. My client won't be making any further statements without proper representation. The detective leans back. That's fine, we have enough. Rourke's mind races. Someone did this, someone with power, someone who cares about Elian. The pieces start to click. The frozen accounts, the abandoned contacts, the sudden arrest. Vale, Rourke whispers. Cassian Vale did this. The detective's expression doesn't change. Interview's over. Rourke is led to a cell. The door locks behind him, and for the first time in his life, he understands what it means to be powerless. At the hospital, Cassian receives the confirmation. Rourke knows. Good, let him know. Let him sit in that cell and understand that consequences don't disappear just because you think you're untouchable. Malik appears in the doorway. Sir, Elian's asking for you. Cassian's heart rate spikes. He doesn't show it, just stands and follows Malik back to the room. Elian is sitting up now, color returning to his face. He looks at Cassian with eyes that are clear, determined. I need to understand something, Elian says. If I reject the bond, if I walk away, will you still protect my child? Yes. Even if I never see you again? Yes. Elian's eyes search Cassian's face, looking for deception, for the catch, but all he finds is truth. Then I need to tell you something, Elian says. His voice trembles. I'm terrified of you, not because of what you've done, but because I feel the bond, and I don't know if what I'm feeling is real or just biology. Cassian moves closer, sits. That's fair. I don't want to be claimed because instinct says so. I want to choose. Then choose. How, when everything in my body is screaming at me, to accept something my mind isn't ready for? Cassian's jaw tightens. You take time, you heal, and when you're ready, if you're ever ready, you decide. Elian's tears fall silently. What if I'm never ready? Then you're never ready, and I'll still make sure you and your child are safe. The bond aches between them, unfulfilled, waiting. But for the first time, Elian feels like he has control over his own life. And that's worth more than any bond. Can a bond built on instinct survive when one person refuses to surrender control, or will choice destroy what fate tried to create? Elian's eyes open to soft morning light. For the first time in weeks, the room is quiet. No machines beeping urgently, no nurses rushing in, just the gentle hum of monitors confirming that both he and his unborn child are stable, healing, surviving. He sits up slowly, his ribs protest but hold, his belly is rounder now, the baby inside kicks against his hand, strong, persistent, a fighter. The door opens, a nurse enters with breakfast. She smiles. Good morning, Mr. Cross, how are you feeling? Better, Elian says, his voice is stronger now, less broken. That's good to hear, the doctors are very pleased with your progress. Your baby's vitals are excellent. Relief floods through him. When can I go home? The nurse hesitates. That's something you'll need to discuss with Dr. Martinez. She'll be by this afternoon. Elian nods. Home, the word feels strange. His apartment is gone. Rourke made sure of that during the divorce. His savings are minimal. His job at the clinic is probably gone too after weeks of absence. He has nothing. No plan, no safety net. Just survival. The door opens again. Cassian enters. No knock, no warning, just presence that fills the room. Elian's heart rate spikes. The bond flares. He hates how immediate the reaction is, how his body responds before his mind can catch up. I didn't say you could come in, Elian says. I know, Cassian sits in the chair beside the bed, but we need to talk. About what? About what happens next. Elian's hands tighten on the blanket. I told you I need time. I'm not talking about the bond, I'm talking about logistics. You're being discharged in 3 days. Where are you going? The question hits like a punch. Elian doesn't have an answer. I'll figure it out. You're 8 months pregnant with nowhere to go. That's not your problem. It is now. Cassian's voice is calm, matter of fact. I have a property, secure, private. You and your child can stay there. I don't want your charity. It's not charity, it's logistics. Elian's jaw tightens. I'm not moving into your house. It's not my house, it's a safe house. Separate from my main residence. You'll have privacy, security, everything you need. And what do you get out of it? Cassian's gaze doesn't waver. Peace of mind. Elian wants to argue, wants to refuse, but the truth is undeniable. He has nowhere else to go. No family, no support system. No way to protect himself or his child if Rourke somehow gets out, if his enemies decide an Omega alone is an easy target. I hate this, Elian whispers. I know. I hate that I need you. I know that too. Elian's tears come without permission. Hot, angry, frustrated. I just want to make my own choices. Cassian leans forward. Then choose. Stay in the safe house until you're strong enough to leave, or refuse and figure it out yourself. Either way, I'm not forcing you. The words should feel like freedom, but they just feel like another impossible decision. Elian wipes his eyes, takes a shaky breath. If I stay, if I agree to this, it doesn't mean I'm accepting the bond. Understood. And I want boundaries, no claiming, no expectations. Done. Elian studies Cassian's face, looking for manipulation, for hidden agendas, but all he sees is patience, and something that might be understanding. Fine, Elian says, I'll stay, temporarily. Cassian nods, stands, I'll have everything arranged. He leaves. Elian sits in the silence. His hand goes to his belly, to the baby who's still fighting to be born. We're going to be okay, he whispers. I promise. But the promise feels fragile. Like glass that could shatter at any moment. 3 days later, Elian is discharged. A private car waits outside the hospital. No paparazzi, no crowds, just efficiency. Cassian's men load his minimal belongings, a bag of donated clothes from the hospital, a few personal items recovered from his old apartment. Cassian doesn't come. Malik handles everything. Polite, professional, no questions about the bond or expectations, just logistics. The safe house is in a quiet neighborhood, tree-lined streets, gated entrance, security cameras hidden in tasteful landscaping. The house itself is modest but comfortable. 2 bedrooms, a nursery already set up with everything a newborn needs. Elian stands in the nursery doorway, stares at the crib, the changing table, the rocking chair by the window. Who did this? Mr. Vale arranged it, Malik says. He wanted you to have everything ready. Elian's throat tightens. Why? Because you're carrying a child who deserves safety, and because Mr. Vale doesn't do anything halfway. Malik leaves. Elian is alone. He walks through the house, touches the furniture, opens cabinets stocked with food, checks the bedroom closet full of clothes in his size. Everything is perfect, thoughtful, overwhelming. He sits on the bed, puts his head in his hands, and for the first time since waking up he lets himself feel everything. The fear, the gratitude, the confusion, the anger, the bond pulling at him like a tide he can't resist. His phone buzzes, a message from an unknown number. If you need anything, call, no strings. See. Elian stares at the message. His thumb hovers over the reply button, but he doesn't know what to say. Thank you feels inadequate. Leave me alone feels ungrateful, so he says nothing. Days pass. Elian settles into a routine. Prenatal appointments, physical therapy, quiet afternoons in the nursery, preparing for a baby he's terrified he won't know how to protect. Cassian doesn't visit, doesn't call, just sends supplies, money for expenses, security updates through Malik. The distance should feel like relief, but instead it feels like abandonment, which doesn't make sense. Elian asked for space, asked for boundaries, and Cassian is respecting them. So why does it feel wrong? 2 weeks later, Elian goes into labor. It starts with cramps, mild at first, then sharper. His water breaks at 2 a.m. He calls the number Cassian gave him. Malik answers on the first ring. I'm in labor, Elian says, his voice shakes. I'm sending a car, 5 minutes. The line goes dead. Elian packs a bag with trembling hands. The contractions come faster, harder. He can't do this alone, he needs. The door opens, Cassian stands there, not Malik, not a driver, Cassian. How did you, Elian starts. Malik called me, Cassian moves to his side. Can you walk? I think so. Cassian takes his bag, supports his weight. They move to the car. Every contraction steals Elian's breath. His vision blurs, his body is splitting apart. I'm scared, Elian whispers. I know, but you're not alone. They reach the hospital. Elian is rushed to delivery. Cassian stays, holds his hand through every contraction, breathes with him, doesn't leave even when Elian screams, even when labor stretches for hours. At 6:47 a.m., the baby is born. A boy, small but healthy, lungs that scream with fury at being pulled into the cold world. Elian holds his son, tears streaming, body shaking. He's here, he's really here. Cassian stands back, watching. His expression is soft in a way Elian's never seen. What's his name? Cassian asks. Elian looks down at his son, at the tiny face scrunched in protest. Jackson, his name is Jackson. The nurse takes the baby to clean him. Elian's body sags with exhaustion. Cassian moves closer, sits on the edge of the bed. You did it, Cassian says quietly. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice. You chose to fight, chose to survive. That's more than most people do. Elian's eyes meet Cassian's. The bond hums between them, softer now, less demanding, but still present. Thank you, Elian whispers, for being here. Where else would I be? The answer is simple, true, and it breaks something open in Elian's chest. For the first time since waking from the coma, he doesn't fight the bond, doesn't resist the pull, he just lets it exist, acknowledged but not claimed. And maybe that's enough for now. A baby is born, a bond remains unclaimed, but has survival finally taught them both that strength and surrender aren't opposites? Jackson screams at 3 a.m. Elian stumbles out of bed, body still sore from delivery 3 weeks ago. His arms ache, his back protests, but he lifts his son anyway, changes him, feeds him, rocks him until the crying fades to whimpers. The safe house is quiet except for the sounds of new parenthood. Elian has never felt more exhausted, or more terrified. Every decision feels monumental. Every cry sends panic through his chest. What if he's doing it wrong? What if he's not enough? His phone buzzes on the nightstand, a message from Cassian. Need anything? It's the third message this week, always brief, always offering support without demanding anything in return. Elian hasn't responded to any of them, doesn't know how to navigate gratitude that feels too much like dependency. But tonight, exhaustion overrides pride. Jackson won't sleep, I don't know what I'm doing. The reply comes immediately. I'm outside, can I come in? Elian's heart jumps, outside. Cassian's been outside, watching, waiting. The thought should feel invasive, but instead it feels like safety. Okay. Minutes later, the front door opens. Cassian enters quietly. He's dressed casually, jeans, t-shirt, hair slightly disheveled like he threw on clothes in a hurry. He looks human, approachable, nothing like the Mafia Alpha King who dismantled Rourke's life without breaking a sweat. Let me see him, Cassian says. Elian hands over Jackson. The baby fusses but settles almost immediately in Cassian's arms. He starts humming. Low, rhythmic, a melody Elian doesn't recognize, but that seems to work magic. Jackson's eyes flutter closed. How did you, Elian starts. Practice, Rowan had colic for the first 6 months. Right, Rowan, the baby Elian saved, the reason any of this happened. Where is he now? Elian asks. With my sister, she's been helping while Cassian pauses, while I've been focused on making sure you're okay. Guilt twists in Elian's chest. You should be with him. I am, he visits twice a week, but right now, you need support more than he needs me hovering. Cassian sits in the rocking chair, continues humming. Jackson sleeps peacefully now. Elian watches them, Alpha and baby, a scene that shouldn't feel domestic but does. Why do you keep helping me? Elian asks. You said the bond doesn't matter, that I can reject it, so why are you still here? Cassian's gaze lifts, meets Elian's. Because you're not supposed to do this alone. Bond or no bond, you deserve support. But I haven't given you anything, Haven't accepted anything, I'm just taking. You saved my son's life, you don't owe me anything, Elian. Elian's throat tightens. I don't know how to do this, how to be a parent, how to trust someone, how to accept help without feeling like I'm losing myself. Then don't accept it, just let it exist. No expectations, no debt. That's not how the world works. It's how my world works. If I say there are no strings, there are no strings. Elian wants to believe him, wants to let go of the fear that's been his constant companion for years, but trust is built on time, and they've barely had any. I'm terrified of you, Elian admits, not because I think you'll hurt me, but because I want to trust you, and every time I've trusted someone, they've used it against me. Cassian stands carefully, walks to the crib, lays Jackson down with practiced ease. The baby doesn't stir, then Cassian turns back to Elian. I can't promise I won't disappoint you, but I can promise I'll never lie to you, and I'll never use your vulnerability as a weapon. Elian's hands shake. What if I never accept the bond? Then we figure out what that looks like. Maybe we're co-parents, maybe we're friends, maybe we're nothing, but it's your choice. Why does it feel like you're okay with any of those options? Cassian's expression softens. Because I'd rather have you in my life on your terms than lose you by pushing for mine. The words hang between them, heavy with sincerity. Elian takes a shaky breath. I need more time. Take all you need. Cassian moves toward the door. Elian's voice stops him. Wait. Cassian turns. Elian's heart pounds. His mind screams at him to stay safe, to keep the walls up, but his instincts, the same instincts that made him feed a dying baby in an alley, push him forward. Stay, Elian says. Just for tonight, I don't want to be alone. Cassian's expression doesn't change, but something flickers in his eyes. Relief, hope carefully contained. Okay, Cassian says simply. He sits on the couch. Elian sits beside him, not touching, but close enough to feel the warmth. The bond hums between them, quieter now, patient. They sit in silence until dawn, and for the first time since everything fell apart, Elian doesn't feel afraid. When fear finally loosens its grip, can two broken people build something new, or will the weight of the past crush what the future is trying to become? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the final chapter of this story. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Your words might inspire someone who needs to hear them. Spring arrives early in Chicago. Elian stands in the safe house backyard, watching Jackson sleep in his carrier. The baby is 3 months old now. Round cheeks, strong lungs, a fighter just like his father. The cherry blossoms are blooming. The air smells clean. Cassian sits on the porch steps, Rowan toddling nearby. The 2-year-old laughs as he chases a butterfly. His small legs are unsteady but determined. Cassian watches with the kind of focus that comes from experience, from knowing how quickly a child can fall. This has become their routine over the past months. Quiet afternoons, shared meals, co-parenting without labels. The bond is still there, still waiting, but the pressure to claim it has faded. What's left is choice, and time. Elian walks over, sits beside Cassian. Their shoulders almost touch. The bond flares at the proximity, but it's gentle now, a warmth instead of a demand. I got a letter today, Elian says, from Rourke's lawyer. Cassian's jaw tightens. What did it say? He's pleading guilty, taking a deal, 15 years with possibility of parole after 10. And how do you feel about that? Elian considers the question. 6 months ago he would have felt fear, terror that Rourke would find a way out, find a way back, but now, with distance and safety, he feels something different. Relief, Elian admits, and something like forgiveness, not for him, but for myself, for the years I spent believing I deserved what he did. Cassian looks at him. You never deserved any of it. I know that now. The words are simple, but they represent months of therapy, of healing, of learning to separate instinct from trauma. Elian isn't the same Omega who collapsed on a rainy street. He's stronger now, not because the pain went away, but because he learned to carry it without letting it define him. Rowan runs over, tugs on Cassian's shirt. Daddy, look. He holds up a dandelion. Cassian takes it solemnly. That's a good one. Should we give it to Elian? Rowan nods enthusiastically, hands the flower to Elian with a gap-toothed grin. Elian's chest tightens. Thank you, Rowan. The toddler beams, runs off again. He loves you, Cassian says quietly. I love him too, Elian pauses. It's strange, he's not biologically mine, but when I look at him I just see my son. Does that make sense? More than you know. Elian turns to Cassian, studies his face. The sharp lines that have softened over months of proximity. The cold eyes that warm when they land on his children. The Alpha King who rules with violence but parents with tenderness. I need to tell you something, Elian says. Cassian's full attention shifts to him. I'm listening. I feel the bond, I've felt it since the beginning, but I needed to know it wasn't just biology, that what I felt wasn't just instinct overriding choice. And now I know it's both. The bond is real, but so is everything we've built outside of it. The trust, the partnership, the way you show up without demanding anything in return. Cassian's breathing changes, slightly faster. What are you saying? Elian takes his hand. The touch sends electricity through them both. The bond recognizes, responds, but this time Elian doesn't pull away. I'm saying I choose this. I choose you, not because fate says I should, but because everything you've done proves I can trust you with my heart. Cassian's eyes close briefly. When they open, they're bright with something raw. Are you sure? I'm terrified, but yes, I'm sure. Cassian pulls him close, not rough, not claiming, just holding. Elian buries his face in Cassian's shoulder, breathes in his scent, lets the bond settle into place fully, completely. I'll spend the rest of my life proving you made the right choice, Cassian murmurs. I know. They sit like that for a long time. Two people who found each other in violence and rebuilt something beautiful from the wreckage. Months later, the city tells a different story. Elian works part-time at a new clinic, one that specializes in omega health and support. He uses his experience to help others, to show them that survival isn't weakness, that asking for help doesn't mean surrender. Cassian still runs his empire, but he's different now, ruthless when necessary, but guided by something deeper than power. His reputation shifts, the Mafia Alpha King who protects instead of just destroys. Jackson grows strong. Rowan starts preschool. The two boys treat each other like brothers. No questions about biology, no confusion about family, just love, simple and uncomplicated. On a warm summer evening, Elian and Cassian sit on the porch. The boys are asleep inside. The city hums in the distance. Do you regret any of it? Cassian asks. The pain, the trauma, everything you went through to get here. Elian thinks about the question, about the omega who collapsed in the rain, who fed a stranger's baby and nearly died for it, who woke up in a hospital not knowing if he'd survive. No, Elian says, because all of it led here, to this family, to this life. Pain has purpose when it teaches you what matters. Cassian pulls him closer, presses a kiss to his temple. You're stronger than you know. We both are. The night settles around them, peaceful, complete. Two people who learn that mercy reveals truth, that kindness summons justice, and that love can rise from blood and pain and become something transcendent. The omega who was beaten into a coma became the heart of an empire. The baby who was abandoned became a prince. And the alpha who chose restraint proved that true power protects instead of destroys. Years later, when Jackson asks about the scars on Elian's ribs, Elian tells him the truth, about the rainy street, about the baby who wasn't his, about the choice that changed everything. You saved someone, Jackson says, and then someone saved you. Yes, Elian agrees, that's exactly what happened. Is that what family means, saving each other? Elian looks at Cassian, at Rowan, at the life they built from impossible circumstances. Yes, he says, that's exactly what family means. And in that moment, every scar, every tear, every moment of terror was worth it. Because they made it home. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story moved you, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss stories that inspire. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your words have power and someone out there needs to hear them. Together we create a community of hope, strength, and transformation. See you in the next story.